Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Mac and Talk for Tuesday, April 26th, 2022. Before we get started with anything, make sure you get that Got It button or else it will get you. And you can find it if you're on your Mac. It usually comes up in the window. Just press enter to accept it, VO right to it, and then VO space works as well. On your iPhone, just swipe right. On Windows, well, you're really stuck. No, I'm just kidding. You can tab, shift tab, alt tab, F6, and that's a lot on the got it button. So without further ado, welcome to Mac and Talk. This is an open forum Q&A for anyone with Mac questions. Whether you're just beginning and need some help getting started learning VoiceOver, or maybe you're considering whether the Mac is the right device for you, or you could be a longtime Mac user with some questions about an app or feature. For whatever reason, I am so glad that you are joining us either now, live, or later on via the podcast recording. Since this meeting is being recorded, we do ask that you stay muted at all times unless asking questions or making a comment. I will go over the rules for how we do that in just a little bit. Just know we do not use the raised hand feature. If you want to know more about what other awesome programs iBUG Today has to offer, you may do that in several ways. Our website is ibugtoday.org. There you may look at our upcoming events, register for our email list, and to become a member. It is free, and that gives you emails of upcoming announcements and listen to previous recordings. You may also check us out on social media at Facebook, facebook.com/groups/iBugToday. That is a great place to ask questions and exchange information in between meetings. For those of you who have Mac specific questions or just want to talk with fellow Mac users, we have a Mac and Talk email discussion group. You may find info about that on our website, ibugtoday.org/Mac and Talk. Recordings of these previous Mac and Talk sessions may also be found there as well. And Twitter and Instagram, we are at iBug Today. Twitter has some great announcements. All of our announcements are posted there, plus lots of useful info about Apple, tech deals, and more. We are on YouTube as well. I was just mentioning that our previous class sessions have been posted there for the Mac course, but all of our training sessions are uploaded to YouTube. You may even ask your smart speaker or a smart assistant, your favorite podcatcher app for the iBug Buzz podcast and get us there. As far as what's coming up in the next week or so, this Thursday, we have it's iBug's Life Extravaganza from 6 to 8 p.m. Central. All events are Central Time, and unless otherwise it's indicated, most events take place on Zoom. Extravaganza iBug's Life will be facilitated by George Batiste, and he'll be talking about all the ways to prepare eggs. Then on Friday, we have iBug Night at the Virtual Movies, beginning at 7:30 with the pre-movie social, followed by the movie at 8, which we were just discussing earlier, 12 Years a Slave, and a discussion following. And as far as our regular weekly events, every Monday night from 7 to 9 p.m., we have iBug Buzz. It is very similar in format to Mac and Talk. I was about to say Mac Buzz, but no, Mac and Talk, where you may ask questions about iOS and iDevices. Here we talk about the Mac. On iBug Buzz, we talk about all things iOS. On Tuesdays, we have events in Clubhouse at 5 p.m. Next Tuesday coming up will be the Mac Buzz in Clubhouse. That's usually the first and third Tuesdays of the month. Second and fourth is the Mini Buzz. So we encourage you to check that out as well. Our book club meets in May on May 12th, as a matter of fact, from 6:30 to 7:45 p.m. on Zoom. I believe we are reading this month. I still need to get the book, The Vanishing Half. So check that out. Also, stay tuned for the date for our upcoming iBug Cafe. our special iBUG anniversary celebration. The fourth Saturday in May, the date I do not remember, but if you want a chance to win a $500 Apple gift certificate, you can do so by participating in our raffle. Pay $10 for one ticket, or a really good deal, get 6 tickets for $50. You may find the info on how to purchase those tickets on our iBug Today website. We accept PayPal. We accept Square Cash. Any way you want to give us your money and donate to this awesome organization. So now that I've jabbered on a bit, let's move on to our program. As I said, we do not do raised hands, and if you want to participate, you will say your name, wait for me to acknowledge you, and tonight I am assisted by Brad Snyder and Michael McCulloch, and they will I'll be acknowledging you, but if I need help, they will be helping. And then once you ask your question, make your comment, please go back on mute. And also, please try not to interrupt anyone else who is speaking. Without without further ado, then let's go on to introductions. So just say your name, where you are calling from, and if this is your first time participating in Macintalk. I'm Chanelle in Houston, and well, I've been doing Macintalk for a few years. So,
I'm Janet from Colorado, first time newbie.
yay, Janet!
Going
Welcome.
to get a free 2012 Mac at some point whenever they decide to mail it to me and get it to me. So
Okay, glad you're here.
I'm Kim, and
Hi,
I'm
Kim.
in Indiana,
All
and I'm a
right.
second timer, I think.
Awesome. Well, we're happy to have you.
John from Wisconsin.
Hi, John. Welcome.
Becky from Winter Haven, Florida.
Welcome, Becky.
David Mandel from Berkeley, California.
David, welcome.
Judy from Connecticut.
Hi, Judy.
I'm Darcy from Ontario, Canada.
Hi, Darcy. Great to have you again.
Yeah.
Mary from Austin, Texas. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Bumi from Toronto.
Oh, hi, Bunmi. And Mary, you said you're from Texas?
From Texas. First time to Macintalk.
Awesome. And you have a Mac?
I do have a Mac, an M1 actually, a mini.
Oh, cool. I'm envious. Awesome.
It's really great. It's worth it.
Great. Well, thanks for being here.
This is Brad, and I'm in Dallas.
All right. Glad to have you,
Diane
Brad.
from Atlanta.
Hi, Diane.
You.
This is Tim from Seattle.
Hi, Tim. Welcome.
This is Jim Turry from Bellingham, Washington.
Yay, my Washingtonians. Welcome.
I'm Michelle Hughes.
Hi, Michelle.
Upper Marlboro, Maryland. Hello there, Chanelle and
Hi. Yeah. Glad to
I don't
have
know
you.
if I'm supposed to be here or not, but I'm gonna hang. I didn't know whether I was supposed to be here or not. It sounds like you're starting a new class.
Nope, you're in the right place. This is part of our class, so you're in the right place.
Yay.
All right. Anyone else want to say hi?
Yeah, this is Michael in Houston. This is my first Macintalk this month.
Yes, mine too. Welcome.
Oh, one thing I was going to mention, Chanelle, you were talking about ways to listen to Macintalk. Macintalk is now also on, it's a regular podcast.
Okay.
So any, podcast catchers or smart devices that pick up, just tell it to play the latest episode of iBUG Macintalk podcast, and that should play it for you.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael.
You bet.
All right.
This is Merv
from Pennsylvania.
Hi, Merv. And I think I heard Kathy.
Yep.
I think we're both
Okay.
here.
Yay! I get so excited when I recognize people who we know. So, thanks everyone. Was there anyone else? All right. Well, now it's time for that time you've been waiting for. And by the way, I just have to share. Um, our president, Michael McCulloch, said that to really become a master at something, we have to practice for 10,000 hours. Well, you might think that's a lot, but I say coming to Mac and Talk is part of that practice. So we are all practicing together. We are learning, we are taking in information, and I'm so glad that you're here to do that. So, who would like to ask our first question?
It's Becky.
Yes, Becky.
I just want to get a quick idea of how you guys scan stuff with the Mac and what app you use for the OCR. I'm assuming you use the VOCR, but do you install drivers for scanners and that kind of thing like you would on Windows?
Oh, great question. So, apps and drivers, excuse me, for scanning. Can anyone give Becky some ideas?
This is Brad.
Yes, Brad.
Well, I usually, as far as drivers, um, most devices, like if you have a scanner or something, the Mac will download the driver itself, and you don't really have to do anything. Macs are just truly plug and play.
Oh, that is cool. So you don't have to
That's
go
true.
hunt
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of scanner were you looking at using.
Kano scan something.
Cano scan?
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
a
that should
portable
just work
scanner.
if you just plug it in.
And then what app do
Canon.
you use? The VOCR or Pen PDF or the 10 PDF, whatever that
In-
other one is?
Pen PDF. I'm not familiar. I've heard of that one. To be honest with you, I have not done a lot of scanning on my Mac.
Okay.
All right. So, that's one option. Thanks, Brad. Does anyone else have some info for Becky? All right. So I have heard of a program, and actually I had it. It's been a while since I've updated it, but ABBYY Fine Reader. That is a Mac app. It was accessible when I purchased it. That was several years ago. But I believe that is still available now. All right. Thanks, Becky. Who would like to ask our next question?
John from Wisconsin.
John, hello.
Hello, Chanelle. How are you doing?
Great. How are you?
Good. My question is updating apps on the Mac App Store.
Ah.
Ooh, I detect something there. And okay, here's my setup. Using Monterey 12.3.1. That's the latest, of course.
Uh-huh.
And if there's an update for Mac or for an app, now I'm not talking about the software update, I'm talking about app update. You're notified and you sign in, and I never stay signed in. So once I'm notified, through, say App Store, one new update, whatever the case is, I will then sign in, Command 8 to bring up my updates. I can see the table if I interact with that table. Excuse me. If I interact with that table, it doesn't tell me how many there are. Oh, excuse me, or what they are. And if you interact with the table, then it'll go to the discovery field or whatever. And I know those categories in our table. So even if I interact, see what's in the various tables, games or whatever. Now go to updates and interact with that. I cannot find out or tell how many. It might tell me how many updates, but it doesn't read what they are. I know there's a button, but it's kind of frustrating. It really is. I don't know if everybody experienced that all or not.
That
This
does
is
sound
Brad.
frustrating. Okay, Brad, go ahead.
Well, what are you getting, John? You getting notification on your screen?
No, usually if I go to the Apple menu, if I'm going to
Correct.
shut down
Okay,
whatever.
Okay. Mine a lot of time will give me a banner. I see a little bit, so I know that it's in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. It's a persistent banner. It does not ever tell me what they are, and I never do them from there. I dismiss that. We'll go to the Apple menu. It does say App Store, and it'll say 2 updates available.
Correct. Yep.
Like mine says that right now, as a matter of fact. I will, if I go down to that and I hit enter on it, it will open the App Store and it will go to the updates section of the App Store. If you should open the App Store another way and you are not automatically on the update section, you can press Command 8. And I believe that's it's been that way for a while. It used to
And
be
I've done that. Yeah, I do Command 8 for updates. Yep.
Then let me see. I'm going to go to mine. Now you can navigate until you get to an your voiceover will say details collection.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
You're going to interact with that. Now it says in details collection. Now it doesn't say it, but you got 2 areas here. You got available. You got available and recent updates. Now, apparently on mine, it says empty area. It's been a while, I guess. I don't know how long they stay in recent updates, but my recent updates area is apparently empty, which is why it says empty section. So I go to the available section. I interact with it, and it just then said 3 items available. And I do a VO right arrow. I get to the first item, says it's a Brother iPrint and Scan. It's software for my printer scanner. I do a VO right arrow and I see that there's a update for iMovie. That's been there a while. I can't believe I had done, unless it just came out. Okay, apparently you only have 2. So it said 3 items. It says, I heard it say 3, but there's only 2. So this iPrint and Scan will be quick. So I'm on Brother iPrint and Scan. I interact with it again. I probably should have, I'm going to tell you what, can I share my screen?
Sure.
Why not? Hang on.
Why not? Yeah. We don't hear anything yet, but I assume you're working on it.
Hang on. I messed
Okay.
up. Hang on. Okay, here we go.
Now, Chanelle, if you want to sing that Jeopardy song, that'd be okay. And I'm teasing.
I know. Da, da, da,
Right,
da,
exactly.
da, da.
I know. Okay.
You have started.
There we go.
Used to it being the 3rd item, but for some reason in this meeting, it's not the 3rd item. Okay.
App Store.
Let me go
App Store.
out here. I'm gonna.
Out of section.
Okay.
Out of detail field table details collection. 1 item
Here's
selected.
say details
Brother iPrint and Scan.
collection.
April 18th.
Okay.
2000.
Actually, if I start at the upper.
Close button. Minimize full screen. Search field. Search text field. Toolbar. Field table. Updates.
There's a
2
table.
Available. Details collection. 1 item
Details
selected.
collection.
Brother iPrint and Scan. In. Brother iPrint and
I
Scan.
interact.
April 18th. 2000. Out of section. Available. Empty section. Field. Details collection. In details
Details collection. I
section.
interact. Now it doesn't tell me.
Empty section.
There's a recently updated. It just said empty section. There's nothing there.
Available section.
It says available section.
In section.
I
3 items
interact
available.
with it.
Text.
I got.
Brother iPrint and Scan. April 18th. iMovie. April
I
12th.
got iMovie.
2022.
We'll do the
Bulletin
Brother
board, magic
print
movie and
scan,
storyboard
'cause I
projects
know
created
that's
with
quick.
Brother iPrint and Scan. 6 items. Brother iPrint and Scan.
I interacted with it.
April 18th. 2022.
Okay, it tells me it came out last Monday.
Update button.
Then there's an update button. Now, if I go past it,
Support for new product models. Minor fixes for improved functionality.
it tells me about what it did.
April 18th, 2022. April 18th.
And that's the end of the line.
April 18th. April 18th.
Okay.
Support for update button.
Go back to the
Loading.
update button. I do VO spacebar and it said loading. By the way, I'm doing this on a 2021 M1 MacBook Pro. So it's doing it.
All right. So I
Support for new product models.
never interact with the details table. I thought, or details field. I thought that was something different. So that should make it a big
Loading.
difference on that.
Yeah. And, I never do it, but if you use the
Update.
tab key, there's a setting, and don't ask me where it is because I do these things and then I can go find it. There's probably under under voiceover utility, under navigation in the categories table. There is a checkbox to tell it to automatically interact when navigating by
Yep.
tab key.
Yes.
And mine's on, but I never navigate by tab key. I
don't
just
either.
don't. That's just not what I do, but you can. And I guess if you do that, it automatically will interact with the thank you. It will probably automatically interact. And one reason I don't like it, then I have to remember the uninteract, and I didn't
exactly,
realize that I interacted. So anyway.
Well, and I noticed with the tab key, if you're trying to dismiss a notification like tips, that's kind of difficult sometimes too. And sometimes your tab key will get to close, but we're not talking about notifications.
Yeah.
That should make a difference.
Yeah, that's the secret. You got to interact with things, and it's nothing really obvious that tells you that. But
well, I mean, I've done it before, even in Big C, I really didn't have a problem. But
one thing you can do, and I haven't done it in a long time, is if you go into your verbosity and turn on hints, it will tell you all kinds of things.
Yeah, I realize that. Yeah,
I don't do it because it's just more chatter than
it's
I
too
care to hear.
verbose.
It's very verbose.
Yeah, and that's why I don't do it. I've been using a Mac since probably 05, so that's us. But the App Store just really ticked me off. So that should make a difference.
I had somebody advise me one time that whenever a new version of the OS comes out, be it iOS or Mac OS, turning on hints, you'll learn all kinds of things that are new.
Yeah, and that's a good point.
But it's
all
still, right. It's good advice, but I don't do it.
Yeah, I really don't either.
It's just too verbose.
Yeah.
This is Darcy.
Yes, Darcy.
Yeah, I was just going to say what I do in the App Store thing is if you interact with that table, like what Brad was demoing, you kind of move through, you sort of get an overview about the different apps you have, and then you can interact with each one and hit the update button. What I actually do, if it's faster, if I know I want to download all of them, if you stop interacting with that detail view and move to the left until you get to your toolbar, if there are updates, you can interact with that, and there's an update all. You just hit that, and it will update all the.
Oh, on the toolbar itself.
Yep, yeah, on the toolbar itself.
Okay.
There's an update all. So if you want to update everything, that's the easiest way to do it.
That makes a lot of sense.
Excellent.
And I usually do that.
This is
go ahead, Janet.
This is Janet from Colorado. Is there a way, like for your iOS, that they can automatically update for you?
On the Mac?
On the Mac, yes.
No, she said iOS.
No, I said.
I think she meant like OS.
Like the
I'm not
yeah,
aware of
like
that.
OS. Yes.
I don't know. And I don't do what Darcy suggested because I had it lock up on me. And it'll just hang up. So I've learned to just it's been a while since I've done it, so maybe that's changed.
Does anyone
But I
else
find
want
if I
to
have
join?
a sizable one or something, I'll come back later and find that it got hung up and it never finished.
Especially if it's a really big app.
Okay.
Like the App Store is the App Store has always been buggy. Like I know whenever there's like an update to Xcode, which is a huge app, it's like
huge
a good
one.
Like 20 gigs or something. It can lock up, and you're sometimes you can come back and it's not done it, and sometimes it has. You just really never know.
The only thing
all right, hold on. So let's take a seat. This is a great discussion, but we do need to announce our names and make it a little bit more formal. So
and this is still John.
Yep, go ahead, John.
Okay. I'm going to get out of here real quick, but Janet asked about, can you do updates automatically on apps? No, on the Mac. The only way you can do that is you can do system updates, which means your Mac OS, but not your app store.
Actually,
I'm done.
Okay, Cliff,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
I'm
Cliff?
sorry. I came in late, but if you go to system preferences and have it automatically keep your Macs up to date,
Yep.
it will keep your apps in the App Store up to date.
There is even a setting for that. Yes, Darcy, go ahead.
Yeah, I just actually, and if you look, because I don't know if the system preferences thing, I think that might be just software updates, but maybe it does apps as well.
You
But
go
if
into advanced.
Yeah, if you go into the App Store as well, I just looked in preferences in the App Store, and there are things that says there is a thing that says automatic updates, and then there's also another checkbox that says automatically download apps purchased on other devices. So if you have multiple Macs, you can turn that on as well, it looks like. And then if you get an app from an App Store on another Mac, it will automatically download it there too. So yeah, there is some system preferences inside the App Store app itself you can look at.
And just to follow up with that, I have seen in system preferences, software update, going into advanced, and it's already checked, but one of those checkboxes is to keep App Store apps up to date. So, all right, excellent discussion. So with that, let's take the next question. Thanks everyone for contributing, and let's go on.
This is Tim. I have a question. I've been trying to do a couple of documents and pages, and I'm trying to use the dictation, and it's doing fine, except there are words that it gets wrong. And I try to be really clear and slow when I'm doing the dictation, but I don't know if there's a way it can learn things. Like, just an example of a mistake. Like, one of the words I was dictating or phrases was passive and it wrote that down as past 7, and then, which is not what I meant to say. And then there's a name of a doctor that I was dictating in there. His name is Wiesel, Wiesel, and it always types out as either we sell, Wesell, or Wiesel, Why space Cell. So I don't know, is there a way to teach my computer that certain things I say mean something?
Excellent question. How to train dictation. Can anyone help Tim with that?
I don't use dictation on my Mac. I barely use it on my phone, but I'm pretty sure that there's a way that you can go into your dictionary and teach it words. I think there's even a setting for that in dictionary. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I could have swore I saw that when I was poking around there one day when I was bored.
All right. What do you
I'm
mean?
sorry, this is Cliff. Sorry about
yeah,
this.
that's okay. What do you mean by the dictionary?
There's a dictionary app in your applications folder, and if you go in there, I think you can teach VoiceOver certain words that you wanted to say different ways.
Oh, you mean dictation? Because what he's trying to dictate.
Right,
things
right,
in
and I
his
think the
Mac.
dictionary
Okay.
reflects the dictation on the Mac. Again, I don't quote me on it. I was just poking around in there, and I think it works the same way it does on the phone, where you can teach Siri or dictation certain things, and it goes cross-platform, for lack of a better term, if you're signed to the same Apple ID. But again, don't quote me on it because I've never tried it myself. I just saw it in there.
Yeah, this is Brad.
Yes,
I
Brad.
don't use dictation. I never use it on the Mac, but I know I do it on the phone. And one of the things I've learned over time, it kind of does learn some things. I finally got the one on the phone to understand how to spell Zoom text, with a capital Z and a capital T. I'm still working on the phone saying voiceover and spelling it properly. You would think it would get that one, but I've just learned to speak really slowly and clearly. You can't do it like normal conversation. Names like the one you mentioned, Tim, are very tricky. Good luck on that one. But as far as other stuff, I think the more you use it, the better it'll get. I'm not sure if it's doing it completely on the device or if it's sending it into anything to the cloud for processing. that's what the phone does a lot of. And that's how I believe the phone learns. What Cliff just said about the dictionary, I'm going to have to look at that. I've never thought about that one. But my advice is just keep doing it, keep practicing, speak slowly and clearly, and just see what happens and let us know.
This is John.
Yes, John.
If you remember the skit with Bob and Ray, Slow Talkers of America, if you don't get it, look it up sometime. They talk really, really slow. I'm being a little facetious here, but I think Brad's right. Sometimes you really got to talk slow.
This is
And
Merv.
Yes, Merv.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize he wasn't done yet. This is I dictate when I use my Bible apps, and also on some other apps on the phone. I haven't dictated on the Mac yet, but I come across a lot of difficult words that I have to dictate. I know that the phone's going to get them wrong because they're a lot of times they're Hebrew words or other foreign words. I just spell them. Dictation always gets them right when I spell them. So you might have to do that with complicated words or names on the Mac until you figure out how to get them right.
So a follow-up to that, how do you spell them? That like, do you just when you say one letter at a time, does it put all the
It
letters
always,
together?
yeah, it always gets them right. I don't even have to go slow.
Hmm.
I just, when I'm on the phone, I just spell it.
Okay, well, thank you. I hope that helps a little bit. Tim, did anyone else have feedback on this question?
This is Michelle.
Yes, Michelle.
Question about the dictation. I've used the dictation on my phone and my iPad. Have not gotten to the place to use it on my Mac. Good suggestion on talking slow. I do have a speech impediment. When I put in use my note, I use my dictation, and today I spelled the word that I wanted to say, and that dictation spelled the word Mikki, Mickey. And that's the first time I've heard it. It said exactly what I spelled, but I didn't say Mickey. And so the dictation said Mickey after they spelled it the way I spelled it. So I
Excellent.
find this interesting that we're on this subject, and I've been using it. So I'm gonna with that, John, I'm going to take your advice and try to use the dictation slowly. It used profanity when I didn't say profanity. Yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you.
Great. We learn all kinds of things. Yes, another thing I've learned key is having a good microphone. There is also the realm of voice control, which is in accessibility settings in preferences, and that allows you to train your Mac more. But I know voice control has its own limitations. So hopefully those. And then I've also heard I don't know, like Brad said, I don't know if the Mac tries on the same info as the dictation on the iPhone, but we have had previous discussions on iOS related to adding names to the Contacts app, and then that may help your computer know what you're trying to say, or at least help the training process. So, very good question.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. This is Tim again. I do know that there's two different things at work. I know on the phone, what someone said about it going into the cloud is correct. That's kind of how it works because it's generally geared toward that part is geared towards shorter things like you would see in a text message, right? That you would dictate. Whereas on the Mac itself, it doesn't go that route. There's a voice control setting that you can go into, and it actually just stays in your computer, and it really does seem to work pretty well. I'm going to try some of the things that were mentioned, like the dictionary, and look at voice control. And I have been speaking slowly when I dictate. I don't think it's the slowly, clearly thing that's the problem. I think it's just some words, it's just interpreting it differently than I intend. So that's where I thought teaching would be helpful. I'm teaching the computer, but thank you all. I appreciate it.
And I believe voice control does allow you to do more of that teaching than just the standard dictation. So have a look. All right. Who would like to ask the next question?
This is David.
Yes, David.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Can someone explain the concept of groups on the Mac? I'm a little confused about that.
Okay.
And grouping.
Groups and grouping. Who wants to explain that to David?
This is Darcy.
Darcy, yes, go ahead.
So are we talking in terms of like voiceover and like when you have to interact with stuff? Like, because groups can mean a lot of different things in a lot of different contexts.
Exactly. That's why I'm confused. I think there's groups also with Safari and
there is,
other
yes.
things. And so, yeah, if you could explain a little of each.
They're very similar ideas. That's a really kind of important concept in voiceover, and it's one of those things that's really strange at first, but once you kind of get your head around it, I really like it. Some people do not. Basically, it's sort of like a group can be sort of related things, like maybe in an app there's a toolbar, and you interact with the toolbar, and then once you've done that, you have all the various buttons and radio buttons and pop-ups and everything that are in the toolbar, but they're all part of a toolbar, so that if you're not interested in the toolbar at all, you can just sort of skip over it, because like when you're using, normally you have sort of an overview of the controls, and then you sort of interact, and maybe you're looking at the web and you see a table, and you can kind of skip past the table if you're not interested in it, and you can interact with the table. And there could be like subgroups. There could be things inside things that you have to interact with. And you can actually go several levels deep, which can get confusing. But it also can make for a little bit of a cleaner interface if you aren't interested in certain things. I mean, as like Brad was demonstrating earlier with the App Store, sometimes you have to go down a few levels to actually get to the thing you want. But yeah, that's essentially it. And Safari has that too, where you can turn on the groups mode, which can be useful on certain websites and can also be not useful on other websites. So that's sort of a basic idea. It's just sort of related things more often than not are grouped in as far as voiceover is concerned.
Yeah, I like the idea. That's great, Darcy. I appreciate the explanation. I love the idea, actually, of the overview and the fact that you can just look at your screen spatially and know where things are. And then if you want to get into the details, you go down, a level. I like that a lot. You can't do that with Windows. And I always have problems with people when I'm at work trying to tell them, please don't tell me that something's in the upper left-hand corner of the window screen, because I can't do that. It's all in one list. But at any rate, what about Safari groups? How does that work? And when would it be applicable and acceptable to use those?
Well, I find there are different websites that groups mode can work really well in. Like, for example, Audible. Sometimes if you have a list of books in Audible, there might be a whole bunch of things in each item. Like there might be the thing to sample or to add to cart, and you can skip. Like with groups mode on, you can just move right past one book to the next book. And I actually find with Safari that groups mode is not something even if you're really good with it, you don't want to have it on or off all the time. What I actually do is, and I wish this was something that was on by default, but I have in my, I have my keyboard commander. I don't know if you use the keyboard commander or not, but I use Option W to toggle groups mode on and off. And so you can just turn it on and off depending on when you need it.
Ooh, I like that.
Pardon?
Yeah, I like that. Okay.
Yeah, it's one of the things I can't even really say what websites it works well with and which ones it does. Like I think it's almost worth just trying and seeing which ones work best for you. And there are some websites that are going to be that are going to work really well, some that don't. There used to be a lot more issues where if you put groups mode on Safari would go busy. I don't know if that's quite as common. It just depends on how complicated the website is, the structure of it. So it's really just a matter of playing with it. And if you have it on Keyboard Commander, like I said, then it's easy to toggle it on and off, because otherwise you got to go into VoiceOver utility to turn it on and off. So having it on Keyboard Commander is really handy.
Thank you very much. That's great.
You can also toggle it in commands help. I've learned that there's a lot of things there, but that's an excellent. I'll have to see if the same concept applies to Amazon if you want to just move past a bunch of stuff. Thanks for that excellent explanation, Darcy. Hopefully that was helpful to you, David. And does anyone have any other comments on this topic? All right, well, let's move on. We keep learning about more tasks to add to our 10,000 hours of practice. All right. I know I'm fixated on that number, but who would like to ask the next question?
This is Cliff.
Elisa.
Okay, Cliff. We'll go to Cliff and then.
Janet has a question after Cliff.
I'll wait.
Okay, so first we'll go to Cliff.
It's actually more of a comment directed, direct, I can't even talk. It's directed directly, say that 3 times, at Brad. Brad, I've kind of figured out a little trick for this Microsoft Word thing on the Mac. Unfortunately, you have to have QuickNav on and navigate by sentences. That
So
will
first
allow
of all,
you.
tell us what the issue
Oh,
is.
I'm sorry.
This is for everyone.
There's been a discussion going on some different lists about navigation in Word on the Mac. And some
All
people
right.
say that they're not having an issue with it. Me and Brad and a couple others say that we are. And I was playing around with it just before I came in here. And the trick that I used is I had to turn QuickNav on and turn the rotor to sentences. That allows you to go line by line. It will not work with QuickNav off, and it will not work with just the voiceover keys.
This is Brad. That's
Yes,
interesting. I will have to try that, because I will say I rarely use QuickNav. I mean, I use
I
it in
know
certain
that's what I was telling you,
circumstances.
because I know you hate QuickNav, but
Well, I don't hate it. I just don't use. Yeah, even on the web, I don't. There's other ways, but sometimes. But no, that's good. And I'm wondering why. You think that's why some people are having a problem with it, and some people aren't? Because we've been trying to find a common theme. Is it people who have Microsoft 365? Is it people who have the perpetual license? Is it what version? I know the one of our the guys in Canada, he's using a beta version, as are you, and I think you have a problem with it.
Well,
and
I
doesn't.
just installed the beta version on my Mac Studio today, because
I'm going to play with that.
Yep. So
Thank
let me
you.
know how that goes, because I figured it out just before I came in here. Sorry about that,
All
Chanelle.
right. Thank you. Well, and maybe we can have a discussion later on about the benefits and best case uses for QuickNav. And thank you very much. And I actually do believe that I heard Elisa right at the same time Cliff was talking. So let's go to Elisa and then Janet. Elisa, are you still here?
Elisa.
Yes, she is. Hi.
I'm here.
Okay.
So whenever you guys have you started using your Mac or were new beginners, did you ever use the trackpad to start with, or you use the keyboard?
This is Brad. I can do that.
Okay, go ahead, Brad.
When I started using my Mac, I tried playing with all kinds of things. I was heavy into QuickNav. I was also quite, I liked the trackpad commander. I turned that on, and it was interesting. But as time went by, I kind of settled into a routine. Like with QuickNav, I stopped relying on it as much, and learned some other things. The issue I had with the trackpad commander, I liked it, but I've been using the Mac now for almost 10 years. And when I started, I don't know, was it Mountain Lion? Trackpad commander worked really well. And I can't remember if it was when they came out with the next version, 10.9 Mavericks, or it was when they came out with 10.10 Yosemite, I think. But it changed. It used to be when you would turn on trackpad commander, your mouse didn't move at all. It was like the trackpad was not controlling the mouse, 100% disconnect. At some point, they came out with a Mac OS update, and that was no longer the case. And I knew what was going on because I have a little bit of vision and I could see the mouse kind of moving a little bit. And it would cause the mouse to do funny things and interfere, somewhat interact. Maybe when I say the word interfere, that's probably not the right word. It would it would interact in some ways with things on the screen. And I'm not sure if that's still the case because I got out of the habit with it. I do still see, if I try it, the mouse moves a little bit. So I just kind of stopped using it. But whatever works best for one person is not what works best for another. Just because I don't use the trackpad commander does not mean that it's not a useful tool for someone else. I encourage anyone learning the Mac to experiment with all kinds of things and find out what works for you. That's what matters. Does it work for you? So, learn what you can. If you turn trackpad commander on and then turn on your keyboard help VOK, you can experiment and you can learn the different gestures on the trackpad with trackpad commander on. And there's a lot of stuff it'll do. So I encourage you to play with it and decide for yourself if it works, if it's useful to you or not.
Yep.
This is Cliff. I'm
Yes,
sorry, Chanelle.
Cliff.
I was just gonna say, I've been using Mac for about 12 years, and when I first came to the Mac, I learned voiceover on iOS first. So I was encouraged that the touchscreen used gestures and wanted to do the trackpad. Over time, I grew out of it because the keyboard just did things a lot faster for me. I mean, maybe I would swipe down with 3 fingers to read all, or 2 fingers, and go back and forth between the dock and stuff. But over time, I got a trackpad 2 sitting on my desk that costs about $150. I last checked. It's still in the plastic. It's been in the plastic for the last year, but it came with my iMac 24-inch M1 last year. But I don't use the trackpad, so I never opened it up. So I mean, like Brad said, it depends on your personal preference. I feel the keyboard moves much faster than the trackpad, and there's absolutely nothing I need the trackpad for. I mean, there's gestures that you can do on the trackpad, but the keyboard does the exact same thing. So it's all about what you're used to and comfortable with. I learned on the phone. I tried it, didn't like it.
Very good.
This is
Yes, Janet.
This is Janet from Colorado. I played around with my husband's Mac, and I'd rather use the keyboard than try to play around with the trackpad. And Chanelle doesn't do a good job explaining the trackpad in her class.
Okay. Yep, I try to explain it, but it is very finicky and I struggle with the trackpad. So, I think you're getting a lot of biased here about, not liking the trackpad, but again, you may like it. You may find so you won't know what works for you unless you try it. You can have all these people giving you either the same opinion with 10 different slants or 100 opinions, and they're not going to do you any good until we try. That's just the bottom line. So good question, Elisa. And Janet, I believe you had a question.
This is a Mac question, but can I do historical Mac questions?
Why not?
Go ahead.
Okay, when did the first Siri come out for Mac?
Oh, does anyone know? I don't. I'll have to look that up.
This is Brad.
Yeah, Brad?
I know it wasn't there when I started using a Mac and
No.
Mountain Lion, which was the operating system that came out in the fall of 2013.
This is Cliff. If I had to guess, I'd say Yosemite.
Yeah.
I don't
or
even
El
remember it
Capitan.
Yosemite. I don't even.
Yeah.
But maybe
I
it
don't
was
use
there.
it on
I don't
Mac,
know.
so I don't even know.
It's so weird because I use Siri. This is Darcy. I'm sorry. I
Go ahead.
always forget to do that. I use Siri so much on my watch, my phone, my HomePod, my iPad, but I just never use it on the Mac. There's so much to me, and again, this is exactly what you guys were just saying about how there's like lots of different ways of accomplishing something, and different ways that work for different people. But I find there's so many more efficient ways of doing things on the Mac than using Siri. But then if you use Siri a lot on other devices, it may be exactly what you need on the Mac. It's hard to say.
Yeah.
This is
Well,
Diane.
yes, Diane.
I
Go
just
ahead.
wanted to comment and say that would be a great trivia question.
Yeah. Ooh. I know. I'll have to find the answer. I'll do some Googling after this is over, and or
It's
somebody can remind me, and we'll.
it's a lot harder to remember. It used to be easier to remember. Well, before, when they were still the cats, the lion and all that, it was easy because they didn't come out every year. So usually the updates were more significant. But since they come out every year, it's a lot harder to remember, which features made it into which version. At least I
Yes.
find that.
This is Cliff.
Yes,
Just so
Cliff.
you know, my HomePod wouldn't even tell me. It told me to go to apple.com to find out.
Okay. We could ask Lady A, but then Lady S might
This is
not
Brad.
like that. So yeah, Brad, go ahead.
I did, and she gave me a curt, I don't know that.
Well,
She
all
had
right.
attitude.
I see.
Yeah, she doesn't want anything to do with the other lady.
Guess not. Good question though, Janet. Um, who wants to ask the next one?
Mommy,
Bunmi, yes, go ahead.
I want to ask how do you use Windows on the Mac as well, like so that you're able to switch between operating systems?
Okay, who wants to answer that
This
one?
is Cliff.
Yes, Cliff?
I know you heard the disappointment in our voice, but anyway, number one, and Brad can correct me if I'm wrong, it has to be Intel unless they've upgraded the M1s to be able to use Mac accessibly with VM Fusion, and two, VM Fusion, and I think Boot Camp will work. Boot Camp is a system where you have to boot directly into the Windows system and then restart and boot back into the Mac. VM Fusion allows you to toggle between the two operating systems with them both being open at the same time. I used to do it, but I dumped Windows completely back in 2016, I think it was, once me and Safari became friends, because that was the only thing I was using Windows for. Um, but I think I seen an article that said VM Fusion 12 should be able to run Windows on an M1 Mac. It's in beta right now, but them are the two things that I'm familiar with.
Excellent, concise answer. There we go. Hope that
This is
yeah.
Brad.
Yes,
There's
Brad.
another one. There's another one too. Not VM Fusion and the other.
Parallels.
Yeah, parallels. And that one may be, I was reading something, and people were talking about that and it being accessible, though I've never tried either one.
This
But
is
yeah, I
Cliff.
believe what
I'm sorry to
Cliff
interrupt you, Brad,
says correct.
but Parallels has never been accessible. So it would be
Okay.
nice if they
Okay.
finally
I
did make it accessible.
So.
This is Darcy.
Yes, Darcy.
I think Parallels might have been accessible in like the real early days, like when,
Okay.
but ever since then. Now I have, and it's been at least 2 years since I've used it, but I have used VirtualBox and had success with that because I only needed to very briefly use Windows and VirtualBox was free, so I tried that and it was quirky, but it did work. And so that I assume VirtualBox is still a thing. But that was what I used.
This is
This
Becky.
is Michelle.
Okay, Becky and then Michelle.
Okay.
Okay.
Basically, from what I understand, there is a YouTube channel called Tay's, I think, Tech Talks, and there are demos out there that show how to use UTM on the Mac. If you have an M1 Mac, you can only run Windows with ARM, the ARM version, so it's not even regular Windows, and that's still in beta. And apparently, according to this podcast or the YouTube channel, you have to be a Windows Insider and then install the ARM version of Windows with UTM and a few other components. So it's not really possible on the M1 because there are still some things that you can't do on the Mac you can do on Windows. I'll give you like a Salesforce training There are just certain things that I need on Windows. Like I still find that Microsoft Word works better for me on Windows than it did on the Mac. It just does.
Yeah, well, that gets into our kind of what tasks are better on which operating
Yeah.
system. And I think, again, there's a lot of variability between people and what we are all most comfortable with. So thanks, Becky. And go ahead, Michelle.
Yes. I was listening. I have used Siri on my MacBook, on my Mac, and she responds to me. I don't know. I thought I heard someone say that they don't use Siri on their Mac, but she does a good job. Um, I haven't used her that much, but she is usable. And number
All right.
two, did I hear someone ask when did Mac first started?
They asked about when Siri was first available on the Mac. That's what our discussion
Oh,
was
I
about.
missed that.
That's
Okay,
okay.
okay.
That's
Mm-hmm.
okay. But
Michael.
great. I'm glad Siri works well for you on your Mac. That's awesome.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Thank you.
This is Cliff.
Yes, Cliff?
I was gonna say too. Some people, and I'm not knocking anybody for what they do with their hardware. It's your money, spend it how you want to. But I'm in a training now where I have to use that other platform, and if VM12 is available and I have to use Windows, then I guess I'd rather put VM Fusion on my Mac than put my hands on another PC. So I mean, a lot of people do it for work related situations, which is fine. But I mean, in most Mac hardware runs better than Windows hardware anyway. So that's the way
Yeah.
that I would rather do it. So, and you're a testament to that yourself, Chanelle, because what do you have, a 2015 and it's still humming along?
17.
17, okay.
Yep, it is.
think,
Yeah, and
I
I've
think
been.
Michael said something.
Oh, okay. Yes, Michael.
Yeah, I did a quick Google search and Mac OS Sierra and iOS
Oh.
5
Sierra.
Oh wow.
into the Siri.
Wow,
Makes
I didn't even
sense.
know that.
Okay. Oh, that
Wow.
sounds right. Thanks for following up with that.
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, and iOS 5. I think I kind of remembered that,
This
but
is
okay.
Brad.
Yes, Brad?
And I believe the questioner was going to ask when did the Mac start? And I believe that would be 1983.
Right. She
First
wasn't sure
Mac.
what our questions
Yeah,
were,
right.
and then she thought it was the Mac starting. But yeah, that's another little bit of trivia. Okay, so this is
And
turning
and
into
let me,
Mac and Talk
Michelle.
trivia.
This is Michelle. I
Uh-huh.
found out that Siri was first introduced to the Apple product October the 4th, 2011.
Ah,
Yeah.
I got that
iPhone
from
4S was when
You
that
might be
happened.
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
All
That's
right.
On the
interesting.
4S.
2011.
Yes, it is. So let's
Mm-hmm.
turn our discussion back to, oh, was somebody saying something? Maybe not. So that's some excellent bit of trivia I'll have to store away, and maybe it'll be a trivia question sometime, somewhere. Anyway, who would like to ask another Mac related question?
Currently unmuted.
This is
Currently
Jim.
unmuted.
Yes, Jim, go ahead.
Currently unmuted.
I'm trying to learn more about audio.
Zoom.us has new window.
Audio things.
Uh-huh.
And I was listening to a podcast with whatever the default is on the Mac. So I'm wondering, is there a way when you're listening to something to know what audio program is loaded? And then, of course, maybe to get a better one for listening to podcasts, because when I tried to speed it up, there were some artifacts.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah,
Currently
I was
unmuted.
done.
Okay, great. So who would like to tell Jim about audio and knowing which program is open, and even just is there a really good program other than the default for listening to podcasts?
This is Brad.
Yes, Brad?
Well, as far as what app, I mean, is playing, I would try VOF1 to tell you what the current application is. If you're listening to something, that might do it for you. As far as the podcast question, I can't help you there because I never listen to podcasts on my Mac.
Yeah, okay. Um, yes, VOF1 gives you your status. You can also, so Jim, are you actually like, have you downloaded a file to your Mac and then and you're just trying to listen to it? Is that, or
Currently unmuted. Yeah, I was listening to one of the Buzz podcasts the other day.
okay?
This is
Yeah, Janet,
this
go
is
ahead.
Janet from Colorado. Have you tried to use the podcast app that comes with your Mac?
Currently unmuted. I guess I'll have to try the VOF1 so I'll know what's opened up. My Mac just has whatever basically came with it right now. I haven't added too many programs yet.
So if you so when you go play the file, do you download it or does it just like start playing once you go to it?
Currently unmuted. I've done both.
Okay, because when you download a file and then you go locate the file, you can do our favorite context menu command, VO Shift M, and go down to Open With. So don't even open the file when you're on the file. And then as you're arrowing through that list of apps, it'll say, let's say it'll say Music app, and then it'll say Default. So it will tell you the default app that is supposed to open that particular file. If you look at your context menu. You can also find that by doing the command I and going to open with, and that will tell you what it's set to open by default.
Currently unmuted. Thank you very much.
Yeah, hopefully that helps. Otherwise, as far as programs, I know we've mentioned VLC a couple times in class. I don't know how well that does with speeding things up or not. I'd have to ask Herbie about that or somebody, maybe somebody else here knows if VLC would allow you to speed up tracks, but you can play a variety of different file formats. So if you tend to download your podcasts as files, then you could definitely import them into VLC. But does anyone else have a favorite audio file player on the Mac other than music? Or is
That's Brad.
music your go-to? Yeah, Brad.
I like QuickTime Player. I've changed
Okay.
my default on everything to QuickTime Player, and the reason is if I play some random file and the default is to open it in the music app, it adds it to my music library whether I want it to be added to or
That is
not.
irritating.
It's very irritating.
Yeah.
And and especially if I just want to, a lot of times I'll use Quick View, and it plays some things, but sometimes if it's a lengthy file, it may play it for a minute or so, then all of a sudden it starts over. And I'm like, no, that's not what but yes, I have gone through for all kinds of file types and gone into get info and changed anytime I run across a file type I haven't dealt with before. I'll change it to
This is John.
default for QuickTime because that way I can listen to it. Then if I decide if it's music I want it, I can put automatically add to music library,
There you go.
automatically add to music, and they'll add it to my library that way.
Yeah, it gives you some choice. Okay, John.
First of all, I agree with Brad as far as changing your file association. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
Because I don't want all my stuff, just random stuff going to the music app. But VLC, and I don't have it open right now, but under controls, I think you can speed it up.
Okay.
So it's like 1.5 or 2, something to that effect. And I think that's what you're talking about.
Do you prefer VLC or do you use another player?
I prefer VLC myself. That works out. Oh geez, I've been using that since, well, probably older than dirt for me. But yeah, I've been using that for quite some time.
Okay. All right.
This is Jim. What part of the App Store is VLC in? I couldn't find it today.
That is there's the big thing with the Mac that we have to remember is most apps you're going to use on your Mac you're actually going to get from websites, from third parties. iOS apps you get from the App Store. Mac apps, I'd say at least 99% of the ones I use come from actual websites. So VLC, I can't remember the website. I know I sent it out to our class
This
as
is John.
in a link. Yeah, John.
I think the actual web address is videoland.org.
This is Brad.
Yes, Brad.
I think John is correct, but I was going to say before you said that, one thing you can always do is Google is your friend. Type
Yes, it is.
VLC player for Mac, download, and
Yep.
you'll
There you go.
probably
And you're right there.
the first result in that search will probably be the not only the Videoland site, but the download for the Mac version.
Yep.
There
And
you
one
go.
thing also on that, if when you do download, let's say VLC for an example, because of how Monterey is, and all the way back through Big Sur, there are certain areas of the system preferences you got. Well, security and
yes.
privacy under your privacy tab. There's certain areas you got to add VLC in there. So just because you download, it's going to work. Well, maybe not. So just kind of be aware of that.
All right. Excellent tips there about how to get it. And hopefully that helps you, Jim. Um,
I see your troublemaker husband has joined us.
I know, yes. And yes, so who would like to ask our next question?
This is Cliff.
Yes, Cliff?
Can I ask Darcy a direct question, or does it have to be? I mean, it's related to the Mac, but I was told that he got the Mac Studio like I did.
If you can make it relevant to everyone else here, explain what it's about, then okay, that's fine. But
Okay.
it has to be,
Yeah.
for general discussion that we can have.
So Darcy, did you get the Mac Studio?
No, I don't know where you heard that from, but nope, I did not.
Okay.
Oh no, it was. I know who it was. It was I can't remember his name. It was somebody that was in our class.
Yeah.
This is your Herbie. This is a Chanelle's troublemaker husband.
Anyway, I just wanted to, and maybe I'll ask Brad because I know he got the MacBook Pro 14-inch back in November. Brad, do
Yeah, I
you
did.
see any major difference coming from an Intel to that M1 with that? Did you get the Max processor or just the regular M1?
I got there are 3 iterations of the M1 Pro, and I got the top, the one with 10 core CPU, 16 core, what can I say it? Graphics display, graphics.
GPU?
Yeah, GPU. Thank you, Darcy. Yeah, the 10, 16, 16, the top one below, the next one up would be the Max. And no, I can't really tell any difference. I mean, the other one had an 2.4 gigahertz i5. It was fine, but no, it works. Just like I said, I see a little. I see enough to see that the screen sure is bright and it sure is sharp. But,
So can anyone tell us then, for the benefit of everyone, what is the Mac Studio? Why would you want it versus another Mac? Why would you want?
Brad?
Yeah, Brad.
Mac Studio is it's right now it's the most powerful desktop with an M1 that Apple sells. They are no doubt going to come out with an M1. An M1 version of the Mac Pro. I say M1. It may not be an M1, but they will come out with a extremely powerful, high end, production type machine of the Mac Pro desktop. But I mean, unless you're somebody like Pixar, who's doing professional graphic rendering and things, that's really who that's aimed for, because those things start to rival your buying them like a Mercedes Benz. they're expensive. But the M1 Pro, the M1 Studio, it's basically it's a step above what a Mac Mini was. I actually was going to say I have one on order. I won't get it. It's scheduled to be July. One of the reasons I never ordered one is 12-week lead time. I don't know where I'll be in 12 weeks. Will I be home? I don't want to find out that they are now shipping this thing and it'll be here next week and I'm scheduled to be out of town. So I waited till I could have it be shipped to my neighborhood Apple store where they'll hold it for me for up to a week and probably longer if I call them and tell them I'm out of town.
This is
But
Cliff.
I ordered one. And I just got pretty much the basic one, but I did have them up the RAM and up the SSD to a 2 terabyte. That way it equals what I've got on my current Mac Mini, which I will probably give to my son.
All right.
But because it's only about 2 years old. But anyway, I just see the M1 as the future. They will soon start implementing features in the Mac OS, I believe, that will only be available if you are running a machine with Apple Silicon. So,
That makes
you know,
sense.
future proofing is what it's about. But it's a powerful, I mean, even the basic MacBook Air with the M1 processor is extremely powerful machine for what you get for your money. It's the future of Apple. So that's why I'm going ahead and doing it.
Great.
This
Okay,
is John.
Cliff. So Cliff and then John, because Cliff
Hey,
wanted.
you just answered my question, Brett. I was asking you why you got a M1 or a Studio since you just got the MacBook Pro, but then you answered it with getting rid of all the Intel stuff in your house and all that. But I ended up getting doing what you basically just said, future-proofing my computing experience because I got the Studio Ultra, the one that was 4,000. I kind of regret not getting the 2 terabytes because when I called to see what would be the process of me just shipping the old one, or not the old one, the 1 terabyte one back and getting the Studio. They told me exactly what you just said. They said July, and I didn't want to wait that long, so I said skip it. I'll just go buy me an SS or external and plug it in if I need it, because I never really
Yeah.
fill up my Mac no more than 400 or 500 gigs anyway. The 2 terabyte was just because I had it and wanted to do it. So, but yeah, I mean, I can't really tell no difference between the Intel and the M1 because I haven't had an Intel for almost 2 years now. I had the iMac M1 last year, and I went to this one, the Studio, this time because it gave me more bang for my buck because I already had a monitor, I already had a keyboard. So, and that's the other thing for people who don't know, the M1s or the Studios just like the Mac Mini. You have to buy your accessories, your peripherals. A mouse doesn't come with it. The keyboard doesn't come with it. It doesn't come with nothing except the tower, for lack of a better term. So, but you'll love it. It feels like a Mac Mini times 3, so stacked on
It's a
top of each
taller,
other.
yeah, this is Brad.
Ah.
Yeah, it's taller Mac Mini. But
Okay.
my current Mac
So
Mini
before
is
we go
fine.
on, Brad,
Go
John
ahead.
actually wanted to say something.
Yeah, I think with the Intel versus Silicon, right now we're at the Mac one. Who knows? A year from this time, it could be they're already working on the M3 chips. So, it's going with the Intel to Silicon. Yeah, that's, it's a long time ago. Mac used to be Motorola. Then they went with Intel. In fact, Rosetta um, would allow Motorola apps to work in Intel. And now they have the same thing for Intel to Silicon. But I don't want to go overboard on it. But sometimes Apple they love their numbers games. But that's my opinion, and opinions are like belly buttons.
This is Mary.
All right. Yes, Mary.
I guess I wanted to say something about the M1 from the perspective of somebody who doesn't pretend to be a real high-end user. Just so that you know, I used to have an older MacBook Air, but I think it was way back like 2015. But the things that I've noticed switching to this Mac Mini, for which Cliff has already said you have to buy the keyboard, and if you want the trackpad and the monitor, you have to buy all of those things. But I did notice it being a lot faster. But I don't know how much of that is because it's new and how much of it is because it is, the M1. But the place
This
where
is
I
Herbie.
did notice a lot of difference really is in the recovery type system when you have to go in and do something kind of drastic is, not the kind of place, not the kind of activities that beginners like to do, but it's quite different from the Intel ones. I think it's easier in a lot of ways, but it isn't the same. And also it doesn't hang up as often, but the main place where I see the difference is when you have to go into the system and do things in recovery that you can't do from just going into the, what do you call it, system disk, what is it, disk
The recovery
utility?
Disk
partition.
utility, yeah.
I don't know, am I making sense?
You
Yeah.
are. Yeah, it sounds like just the faster process. It's faster to get into recovery. It might be easier, and you said something else that just escaped my mind. But that's useful. It doesn't hang up for you as much. I believe Herbie wanted to say something.
Yep. Actually, I wanted to say something a while back, but it's all good. And I forgot what it was. But first of all, yeah, no, unfortunately, in your case, Mary, it is because of the older system. I have in my possession right now a 2013 Mac, a 2015 Windows machine, and a 2019 Mac, and they're all Intel based. But the difference between the 2019 Mac that has very similar specs actually to the 2013 Mac is like night and day, and that's just Intel. So many of the things you described with it not hanging up as much, and this and that, you would even notice in newer Intel models. And I've told people, some people several years ago, if your Mac experience is based on an older model, you don't fully understand what it's like to have a newer Mac because it's a lot different. So just two things I've wondered if I'd ever know. Cliff, maybe you might be able to comment on this. Like one of the things that I've been kind of curious with, I notice a difference with an M1 Mac is like an Amadeus Pro. Sometimes I have to convert long files to MP3 format that are like 3 hours long. So it takes the Mac quite a bit of time to do it, at least, a good 15 to 20 minutes, and the fan is whirring and all that. Have you done anything like that on your Mac Studio or any M1 Mac with Amadeus Pro and noticed a time difference?
What kind of a file are you converting to
Like
MP3?
it doesn't matter, but like an M4A file to MP3.
Oh, not even close. I've done a 4-hour M4A from downloading from Zoom, and it literally took 45 seconds, and I'm not even exaggerating with that.
Okay.
From M4A to MP3, it only
Right.
took 45 seconds, and
See,
no
that
fan
would
came on
be
at all.
okay. Yeah, see, that would be a big selling point right there. Productivity, less time converting larger files. That right there saves me a lot of time.
This is
So,
Cliff, and the other thing,
yep.
Herbie, is I've converted, like I have to record, or I have to in Audio Hijack, I have to record my podcast to get it on Apple Podcasts in WAV or WAV format, and it ends
Right.
up being like 2-3 gigs. But then if I want to put it on YouTube and attach it to a keynote and convert it to a movie to put up on YouTube, I have to convert that to MP3, and from WAV to MP3 for a 3 gig file, that is a little slower. It takes about a minute and a half, but nowhere near
Oh, a
15
minute and a
minutes.
half. Oh, well.
This is Darcy.
Yes, Darcy.
Okay, one thing I would recommend, Herbie, you look at, because I still have an Intel Mac as well. Because the thing to remember about Amadeus, especially when you're converting to an MP3, it's only using like a single core. It's only using one of your cores to do that. What I would recommend, now this app is really meant for podcasts, but you could convert it. There's an app that I really like called Forecast. It's from Marco Arment, the guy who made Overcast, and it uses all your cores to
right.
convert. And so what I often find when I do the podcast, which I can't remember this. Well, it's about an hour. Often our podcast is about an hour. I open the file up in Forecast, and by the time I put in like the title and stuff, it's done. It's so you should take a look at Forecast, and it's free too. So I would take a look at that one.
Is that in the App Store or the web?
It's not. Go to, I think his website. I think it's the website for Overcast, like overcast.app, and there's
I'll
a page on there for Forecast. And the other thing about Forecast, which is really nice, if you need this, which you may not for what you're doing, but I need it for my thing, is you can put in like it takes the chapter marks that are in that maybe you've added from Amadeus, and it will add that. It will add MP3 chapters to it. So like for our podcast, we have chapters for the different topics and stuff, and it automatically adds those in, and it's really nice. So but you'll find it much faster, even if you just want to use it to convert to MP3. You'll find it
take a look at that.
Insanely faster. Like it's just
And in case anyone's interested, Darcy produces the Mac Accessibility Network podcast, and that is a great resource for Mac voiceover users as well. So,
thank
yes.
you for mentioning that.
Yeah. Well, sorry, Herbie, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I did actually have another question for Clifford.
Well, okay, we don't want to,
I know.
Remember if Brad, have you been waiting to speak, Brad? I know I cut you off and then, okay.
No, I'm good.
I want to make sure there are no other questions. We have about 10 minutes. So does anybody have any Mac questions, going back to basics, how to do things, or should we continue this fascinating but overwhelming audio, well, maybe not overwhelming, but audio discussion?
Actually, my question isn't even related to the new Mac anymore. It's something different. So.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm just curious because I've been trying to figure out the best way to do this. So Cliff, you mentioned you said you can use the Keynote app to change a file to a video format for uploading to YouTube.
Correct.
So what, you just load the app file in the Keynote and save it, or is there like a long involved process?
No, it's easy. I mean, you literally don't even have to do nothing you open up a blank Keynote, go to insert, go down to choose, insert the MP3 file, and I don't even know if it has to be MP3. That's just what I do because it's a small file type. Then go to export and pick iPhone movie, and it's done on my studio, it's done in less than 2 minutes. I don't know how long it's gonna take on Intel, but once it's done converting, you just trash the file or the Keynote that you used, and your iPhone movie is waiting for you, and that's what you can upload to YouTube. I'm sorry, Chanelle. I was going to say, I usually throw my podcast logo on there so it has a picture, but you don't have to do it that way.
Just about to ask what was on the screen when you did that. I was just, okay.
But you don't, so that's basically how you take a MP3, something that was not done in video and convert it to video.
Yes.
Yep.
Cool. Wow.
See, Chanelle, you still can learn a few things.
Yes. Oh, I know. Well, like I said, it all counts toward that 10,000 hours of practice that Michael said we all need to be able to master something. So there you go.
I have a question.
Yes, Elisa.
Sorry. So if you have a keyboard that you think is connected to your Mac, how do you know if that keyboard is connected?
Okay, who wants to answer Elisa's question?
This is Becky.
Yes, Becky, go ahead.
You all know this stuff better than me. You can go into, I think is it Bluetooth? And then if you go into the Bluetooth setting, if it's a Bluetooth keyboard, it should be listed. Or frankly, the easiest way is just to tap a key on it and see if it works. I've got a Bluetooth keyboard I've got connected to 3 or 4 devices at once, but I think you would know it under Bluetooth. And I think if it's not USB, what is the Mac one? Thunderbolt? If it connects via that, I think it would be automatically supported.
I think you have the right idea with Bluetooth. Excellent. And do you remember where you can go find Bluetooth?
I know. I think it's under the app in the Apple menu. Is it under the extras? I think.
Yeah, extras or the control center.
I keep forgetting about the control center. I should because
it's okay. I forget about it too.
Okay.
Very good.
Herbie.
Yes, Herbie.
So just one thing with a control center, I would maybe, you can use it however you want. I personally would recommend the control center more for turning something like Bluetooth or Wi-Fi on or off versus using like the menu extras or system preferences to go either add something or modify something. So that's just, I mean, that's how I use the two, but yeah.
All right.
This is Cliff.
Yes, Cliff?
I surprise, surprise, Herbie. I'm gonna disagree with Herbie because you can go into the control center
Yeah.
and instead of toggling it, you can do the actions command, which is
Yep.
VO command spacebar, and open up your Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, or whatever preferences and add and remove things that way instead of having to go all the way to system preferences, find it, and then open it that way.
I actually agree with Cliff on this one. Yeah. I think that can be more efficient. So hopefully that helps you out there, Elisa. All right.
This is
Michael?
Darcy.
Yes. Did you say Michael?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
you'd been quoting me as talking about the 10,000 hours
I know I'm
to
fixated
become,
on that number.
but actually that's not me. That's actually came from Malcolm Gladwell's book Outliers, where he
Ah.
talked about it takes about 10,000 hours of intense practice to achieve mastery of a particular, some skill, such as, playing an instrument or getting as good as some expert like Bill Gates, something like that. But anyway, and
All right.
actually, I think he stole it from a Chinese philosopher. I don't remember if it's Confucius or not, but it goes something like, it, to become a master, you have to have made 10,000 mistakes or errors.
Okay. Oh, wow. That's even more hopeful. Good.
I should be in good shape then.
What?
I said I should be in good shape then.
Yeah, me too.
I'm sure we've all done,
Herbie.
Yes, Herbie.
So one thing I wanted to clarify, not to make a point here, but I think this needs to be clarified because of the way Cliff explained. I was comparing the control center to the menu extras, not actually going to system preferences.
Right.
That's what I was comparing the control center to. The menu extras specifically, not so much the going to system preferences and Bluetooth. And for the menu extras, the people that don't know, that is your VO and that will bring up quite a bit of options like Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, stuff like that. So that's specifically what I was comparing the control center to.
All right.
This is Becky.
Yes, Becky.
Had a question about Audible if we have a moment or some other question.
Let's see. We have about 3 minutes. So, okay. Go ahead.
Audible on the Mac. Can you save your files and is it supported? I know you can do this on the iPhone, but Audible and Mac has also speakers. So I was wondering about experience with Audible app on the Mac.
This is Brad.
Yes, Brad.
I don't think there's an Audible app for the Mac. Well, unless you are talking about an M1 and downloading the one for iOS. However, I believe you used to be able to play Audible files in iTunes. One would assume you can still do that in the music app or one
This
of
is Herbie.
the variations of it.
Yes, Herbie.
So two things real quick. First of all, no to Brad's question. You can't play Audible apps through music anymore. Becky, what you can do though is if your Mac is a newer Mac, I think it's a 2018 onwards that will support this. What you can do is do AirPlay from your phone to your Mac and listen to Audible that way. But I'm not aware of any Audible Mac for the app for the Mac.
This is Darcy.
Yes, Darcy.
Now I could totally be wrong here. But didn't actually I know that the music app can't play Audible anymore, which is a shame because it used to do that really well. But can't you open them in the Books app now? Or
Yes,
is it
you
only?
can.
was
That's
just
what I was
about
going to say.
Yeah, that's what I would
maybe.
think. You do it because they split up music. Excuse me. This
Right.
is
Yeah.
Brad.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
Brad.
used to be able to
This is
do it in
Cliff, yeah.
iTunes. That's what I thought. If not the music, one of the
This
things
is
is split
Herbie.
up.
Yes, Herbie.
So I know you can open Audible books that you've purchased through iTunes in the Books app. That works really well. But I've not, at least because somebody mentioned, I've not seen a way, and maybe I just need to look harder. I've not actually seen a way to sync your Audible subscription though to the Books app. I'll look again, but
This is
you
Cliff. I think
can.
there is a way to do it. I think Apple and Amazon, for lack of a better term, actually partnered with each other to not to say that they did, but I read an article about a year ago that says anything you buy from Audible will play in the Books app because the Books app
Yeah.
has an audio book section now.
Yeah.
I agree because I downloaded last year or something some audio files directly from Audible, and I do believe they played in the Books app. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
Probably the first time, if that is the case, because I know the way you worked in back when it was iTunes was the first time you opened one of them, you would have to, authenticate with your Audible credentials.
yeah,
But following that, I hope they left that in some because that used to work really well back in iTunes. I would listen to. Well, that was also back when I had an iPad that it would, or an iPod that it would sync, and it would sync your positions and everything. It was pretty cool.
all right. Well, um, actually, we are at 29. So, any final thought on this topic? Otherwise, I think we're pretty good.
Was
Yep.
Brad going to say something? Or did I miss something?
Nope, I think we've got it. Thanks everyone for coming. I appreciate your participation, our lively discussion, and this recording will soon be available on the iBUG website on that new podcast that Michael was talking about on YouTube, and we will see you back here next month, Tuesday, May 24th, same time, 7 p.m. Definitely check out all of our events and purchase those raffle tickets. Come to our iBug 11th year anniversary celebration. I should know this by now,
Yes.
but anyway,
Yes.
okay, come and join us. We'd love to have you. Thanks, everyone.